You'll have a cleaner house with this smart robot vacuum and mop. Let's check it out. Dave Taylor here, and my house gets dirty. I have pets, they just bring in dirt, and they just are a source of fur and dust and dander and all sorts of stuff. So it's just inevitable. You go to someone's house where they have a pet and there's pet fur around. So you need to clean. But honestly, who wants to be cleaning, especially on like a daily basis? If you have a dog like we do who sheds a lot, well, it can be a real pain. So enter robot vacuums. And here's the trade-off. Until recently, if you had a robot vacuum, it was a lot less powerful than an actual handheld vacuum. And the problem with that is that meant that you really still had to do manual vacuuming. Bleh. Enter the latest generation of really powerful robot vacuums. And that's what this is. This is the bObsweep UltraVision self-emptying robot vacuum and mop. Yes, it does everything, but let's start with its spec first. This has an 8,000 Pascal suction capability, which is enormous for a robot vacuum. And that means that it can get dirt in carpet. It can really pick up so much. But of course, the first question is my dog chill with it? So let's cut right to some action footage and see how he handles when the vacuum shows up in his little world of existence. Okay, so he's not a huge fan of it, which I understand. That's okay, because it still does a great job. Now, let me show you a little bit about it, and then I have a couple of super fast running demos to show you its mopping and vacuuming capabilities. But first off, 8,000 Pascal suction, and the last bObsweep I looked at, this is worth mentioning, is I reviewed the Dustin, which is a very similar design, but that maxes out at 5,000 Pascals. So this is honestly what, like 50% more powerful than their previous powerful vacuum. So that's great. Most importantly, what this big honking thing is here, and let me just show you, has a really nice user guide. I'm going to just put that out of the way. But this is the self-emptying base. If I open it up, you can see there's a vacuum bag in there. So every time this comes up to the base, it actually sucks all the dirt out of the vacuum into the vacuum bag. And then once every so often, so far I've found maybe 3 or 4 months, I guess I don't have a huge amount of dust, but every so often you get a notification that it's full, or you can just feel that it's full, and you swap it for another one. And how nice is this? bObsweep includes 4 extra vacuum bags, which by my calculation should take you at least a year, if not 2 years into ownership before you have to worry about it. So let me show you real quick what it looks like when this guy comes up and we actually let the base pull all the dust and dirt out of the unit. Speaking of the vacuum bag, it's a 6-liter vacuum bag with odor filtering charcoal. So if for some reason this picks up something that is a little smelly or becomes smelly, maybe child's cereal or something like that, then you will not have this end up being stinky, which is so nice. Now, it's auto charging, which actually I think all of them are now. And it has a scheduler in the app. The app is super sophisticated. We'll get to it. I'll give you a demo of that too. Stair and obstacle detection using their on-device vision camera. In fact, you can see the camera right there. And what this does is this lets it notice and avoid obstacles that would otherwise be a problem, because you do really, the nightmare with these robot vacuums is that they just pick up everything, including wires and shoelaces. It can be chaos. So having this be a little more smart is actually a huge win. It's what, honestly, even like if you could trick your 6-year-old into vacuuming, a lot of 6-year-olds like vacuuming actually, but they're still not going to try to vacuum over the cat's tail or something. This would actually recognize that there are obstacles and try to avoid them. I do not recommend having the cat's tail immediately in front of it. That is something that is not recommended. But it also uses a lot of really sophisticated technologies. This part actually is a LiDAR detection system, and it uses SLAM or quantum SLAM mapping. And what happens is, as it cruises around your floor, it's actually building a map of how your house is laid out. And it's smart enough that you can actually switch between floors. I do this on a frequent basis where I'll just pick one of these up and just put it upstairs and let it vacuum up there, because we don't get a lot of traffic upstairs in my house, so it doesn't need to be as frequent as the main floor. But every so often it just says, this is new. Okay, I'll just start a new map. That's fine. So no big penalty to that, which is nice. Now, I'm going to show you that, let's go through a tour of all of the hardware. But you know what, before that, let me show you how this does with mopping. So let's just do a demo of it's mopping my kitchen floor, and I've sped this way up because it tends to go kind of slowly. This is not something for the impatient, but you just turn it on, and then like a couple of hours before you get home, you come home, it's all done, everything's cleaner. So let's get into that mopping. It's not exactly a perfect back and forth as you would expect from a human doing mopping, but it does ultimately get every spot, which is all that I really care about. And in terms of using the mop, then on the back, if we pull this piece out, then here's where you put the water in, and it actually has a pretty good capacity for water, which is important because if you have a large surface, then you're going to need a lot of water. And then the other step is that you have this mop, and it comes with a spare mop cloth, but you basically just put this on the vacuum and then make sure in the app that you enable mopping. And that's really all there is to it. Now, let's go through some more hardware here. So this is the base unit, and it has that removable section. This plus this, it actually, I can just show you. It's just sort of a neat setup. Goes like that, and we would be ready to go. And then there's a power cord in the back, you can't really see. So this needs to be plugged in because its actual base unit, this is how it charges, and this is how it empties the vacuum out. So it does need power. And then also included in the box is a spare mop, a cleaning gizmo if you end up getting like really long hair tangled up in it, a spare filter, a spare edge brush, and 4 of these vacuum bags. So there's a lot. And then when you open it up, it has this quick start guide, which will in fact get you started pretty darn quickly. It is really easy to get this thing up and paired with your phone and working. In fact, let's go to a quick demo of my phone and the app. But before we get there, let me show you how it actually vacuums on carpet. And again, I'm going to speed this up quite a bit. Well, it did knock the shoe, but it didn't actually have a problem with it. So I take that as a marginal success of the vision system. But let's jump into the app. And this app's available for iPhone and Android. And if I just launch it, then you can see I am right here and it's ready to clean, and it's showing me that it has a 79% charge. So if I know that it takes me 75% of my charge to do a full vacuum, I could either wait till it gets to 100%, or I can just let it go, because one of the settings is to say, if you have to stop and recharge before you're done, once you're charged, go back and finish the job. So in fact, let's go into settings, and cleaning preferences is where all the fun stuff is. So the self-emptying, you can have it do it every single time, or you can do it a little less, or you could give it an intensity boost. Then you can specify how much and how powerful the vacuum is. You can specify mop mode. What I highly recommend is when you're not using mop mode, take the mop attachment off and empty the water out of the container, and then leave mop in off position. So you don't want to have it permanently with water in it, because it will get a little tiny bit of water leakage when it just sits on its pad. Of course, that's why it has the pad, but my experience is that I vacuum almost daily, and then I mop once a week or so. So it's 2 or 3 minutes of fiddling with it, and then it's all good to go. And then when you're done, you take this off, and it's as easy as literally just popping it off. And then I usually just leave it up here to dry and be ready for the next time I use it. Now back to here. Auto resume is a setting, so I can decide that I really would like to actually have this thing turn on and go back and finish the job. Object detection, edge detection, you can mute it if you don't want to hear it talking to you, which I have not done. And then there's software update. Probably the most important thing is firmware updates. And then you get to these major controls. And the first one, let's show you map. And this is the main floor of my house, and it's pretty entertaining. I actually sort of messed with it by putting a lot of things out, and you can see that in my dining room. It has found a lot of obstacles. That's what those squares are. And what I did was I let it map my main floor, and then I went into the editor, and it was a little tedious, but I put the dividers in to create each room, gave each room a name, and then the blue and white grid is actually no mop zones, and you can have discontiguous mop zones. So my kitchen on the top right in sort of a light green, and then my entryway on the bottom in light blue, those are both moppable surfaces, and it can handle moving from a moppable surface to one that's moppable through a carpeted area, and it won't try to mop the carpet, which obviously would not be good. So it's very smart. And one of the other benefits of actually setting it up by room is then if I go back here and I go to quick clean, I can specify that I just want it to clean a specific room, which is fantastic. So I might have it vacuum the kitchen twice a day because it tends to be the dirtiest room. There's the scheduler, there's the history, and at any point you can actually tell it to go if you don't want to wait for the schedule. And while it's going, if you're like, I just want to just not hear it, I want to just turn it off, just tap on charge, it'll stop, and it'll go back to the base and charge, and it'll empty depending on your emptying preferences. And that's all there is. It's that easy to work with. So I have to say, all in all, I really like this device. I mean, I have to say that I never vacuum my house anymore, and my house is the cleanest house of any house I visit. Sorry kids, including your houses, because I endlessly have my robots doing the work. And to me, that's the point of having these devices, is that they're doing the work for you. And then because they're doing that, and all this does is vacuum and mop, it has no other purpose in life, it's perfectly fine vacuuming twice a day if that's what I wanted. I don't want it that frequently, but if you just really want to have a nice clean environment, this is so nice to have one of these. And of course, having this with its 8,000 pascals of suction means it's going to pick up a whole lot more than other competing vacuum systems. That's a really important number to be aware of. And in terms of dimensions, well, it's 13 inches by about 4 inches tall, and it does have low object detection, so theoretically it should not be getting caught on like the edge of your sliding glass window and stuff. It certainly manages mine without a problem. It is Alexa and Google Home compatible. It's 8.5 pounds. And I mean, honestly, it feels pretty darn light in terms of carrying it upstairs or downstairs and then just pushing the button and saying, just do your thing, vacuum, and then pick it up and bring it back to the base. Easy, super easy. So 2-year warranty, 5-year subsidized repairs if something happens after those 2 years. I mean, this is kind of a no-brainer. It is spendy, but This is honestly, these sort of devices are game changers, and this is very much the best of all the robot vacuums I've ever used. And this is the one that now lives on the main floor of my house. And I promise you, when I'm done with this recording, all of this is going to just go back on the floor, and I'm going to have it turn on, and I'm going to have it vacuum while I drive away to meet some friends for lunch. How perfect is that? So definitely, this is one to check out if you would like to have a cleaner living space. And of course, it can work in a retail store. It can work in an office environment. You can also set it up where it might just be your own office that it vacuums, because you've set up virtual barriers in the app, which makes it really easy. So I leave the door to my office open, but this is not allowed in my office because there's too darn many wires. And I just have these sort of nightmare visions of it saying, hey, what are these 400 wires? So it's just blocked, but I can leave the doors open because the software controls the device in exactly the way you would like. So definitely really, really nice. I am going to ask you to subscribe to my channel. Please click or tap on that subscribe button. Hit that bell icon for notifications. And if this was of value, and I certainly hope it was, give me a thumbs up. If there's something you think I missed or should have demoed, then please let me know. I mean, I feel like this was pretty comprehensive. Okay, this whole setup is the bObsweep UltraVision self-emptying robot vacuum and mop. Comes in brushed stainless or carbon steel. This is the carbon color. The stainless steel is also very attractive, and it is a pretty spendy $1,129 at bObsweep.com. However, I will encourage you to check out the internet to see if you can find it at a discounted price through another retail channel. I found that prices varied quite a bit. But of course, if you get it from bObsweep, you know you've got the real thing from the real company and everything's all good to go. But, you know, you might wait for a sale or something. $1,129 is pretty expensive for a device. But if you have maid or cleaning service, how much are you paying over the course of 3 to 6 months for someone to come and vacuum your floor and mop your kitchen, right? So that's probably what you should be looking at when you're thinking about this price. So that's everything I got. I got to put everything back together, so it's going to start cleaning my floor again. So I'll hope to catch you in my next video.